under the clown's smile. Imagine that your neighbor is the kindest man in the neighborhood, that he organizes parties, helps children, and that sometimes he dresses as a clown to make them laugh. But what if that smile hid something? Something you don't want to imagine. For years, John Wayne Gacy lived a perfect double life. By day, he was an exemplary citizen. By night, a predator who hunted without leaving a trace. And under his house, he kept a secret that would freeze the blood of an entire nation. This is the true story. A story that perhaps you don't want to hear alone. The man everyone loved in the quiet town of Norwood Park, Illinois, lived a man who seemed tailor-made for the American dream. A smiling man, hard-working, always ready to help his neighbors. His name was John Wayne Gacy. For everyone, he was the ideal neighbor. He organized barbecues, dressed impeccably, worked hard, and when Christmas came, he decorated his house like a movie store window. But what no one knew is that those festive lights illuminated the roof of a house where darkness hid in every corner. The community man Gacy wasn't just any man. He was a businessman, contractor, and even organized parties for the community. But what made him even more popular was his alter ego, Pogo, the clown. Pogo appeared in hospitals, parades, birthdays, bringing joy to sick children and entire families. A painted mask, an exaggerated smile, and behind, eyes that didn't always smile. The double life. No one knew that this affable man had another life. One that took place away from curious eyes, an underground world, literally, a place only he had access to, and where light rarely penetrated. Under the floor of his house, there was a space that didn't appear on any official plan. A space that over time would fill with secrets that smelled of death. The charmer John knew how to win everyone's trust. He knew what to say, how to look, how to shake hands firmly, transmitting security. But the most dangerous thing was his ability to detect weaknesses. He could find, in a matter of minutes, the exact point through which to enter someone's life, especially if they were young. The boys in the mid-70s, it was common to see teenagers looking for temporary jobs. Many came from troubled homes, needed quick money, or simply sought to escape their houses. John Wayne Gacy knew this. He offered them work in his construction company. He paid well. He didn't ask for too much experience. And most importantly, he promised opportunities. Once inside his world, not everyone came out. The House of Smiles, Gacy's house, was a strange place. By day, it seemed like a common home. By night, closed curtains hid what happened inside. Sometimes, neighbors heard strange noises, heavy movements, the dragging of furniture. And sometimes, an unpleasant smell escaped from some corner. But Gacy always had an answer, always convincing, always calm. Pogo's games. Pogo had games. Games that began with magic tricks and ended differently. He liked to show his handcuff trick. He convinced the boys it was just a joke, but once the shackles closed, the game changed. It was then when John Wayne Gacy stopped smiling. The deception machinery to hide his secret life. Gacy built a wall of appearances. He was friends with police officers, politicians, businessmen. He knew that if someone pointed at him, they would defend him. Who was going to believe that the man who dressed as a clown to cheer up children could be a monster? The shadows under the ground, under the house. The air was heavy, humidity permeated every corner, And there, in that hidden space, John deposited his secrets, one after another, each time with more confidence, as if he believed they would never catch him. The neighbors began to notice a strange smell. Gacy said it was drainage problems. Sometimes he blamed dead rats. His confident tone, his firm gaze, made people stop asking. But the smell never disappeared. The first suspicion in 1975, a young man disappeared after telling his family he would go see Gacy for a job. He didn't return. The police spoke with Gacy, but he had an alibi. He said he never saw him, and the case went cold. Life goes on. While families mourned their missing children, Gacy continued his life, always smiling, always present in the community. But in the shadows, the list of secrets under his house grew. The perfect man to the world. John. Wayne Gacy was an example, a model citizen. For those who entered his house, he could be the last person they would see alive. Two faces, one man, and no one was prepared to discover the truth. Cliffhanger, but every monster leaves traces. And one December night in 1978, a young man disappeared under circumstances that Gacy couldn't fully explain. The police began to look more closely. Pogo's smile was about to crack. The disappeared on the night of December 11th, 1978. A 15-year-old boy, Robert Peast, left his job at a pharmacy to meet with a contractor who offered him better paying employment. That contractor was John Wayne Gacy. Robert never came home. A desperate mother, Robert's mother, reported the disappearance immediately. She told the police a name, Gacy. He was the last person who, according to her son, he was going to see that night. The first visit officers knocked on his door. Gacy came out smiling, kind, cooperative. He told them he had never seen Robert. That it was all a misunderstanding. But there was something in his gaze, something that made the detectives not let him out of their sight. Surveillance for days. Gacy was followed. And meanwhile, the police began to discover a disturbing pattern. Other young men had disappeared under similar circumstances, all linked in some way to John Wayne Gacy. The smile cracks at first. Gacy played his role as an innocent man. He joked with the agents who followed him, offered them coffee, tried to seem likable. But with each passing day, his security began to crack. The man who always controlled everything began to lose control. The watched house. The investigators obtained a limited search warrant. They entered the house, and although they didn't find Robert, they did find strange objects. Young men's clothing, credentials, photographs. Too many belongings for a single man. The smell under their feet. One of the detectives noticed a smell, penetrating. A smell that wasn't simply from old pipes. But without sufficient evidence, they had to leave. They didn't know that. Right under their feet, there was a clandestine cemetery. The mental game Gacy tried to play with the police. He invited them to eat, talked to them about politics, made jokes, but also he drank more than normal. And one night, he broke. The unexpected confession on December 20th, 1978, after days of surveillance, Gacy picked up a friend in his car. He drove for hours and began to talk. He confessed that he had killed several young men, that many were buried under his house. The friend, terrified, took this information to the police. The final order with the confession came the complete search warrant. On December 21st, the police returned to the house. This time, they would go down to the basement. The descent. The stairs went down to a narrow, humid space. The air was unbreathable. With shovels, they began to remove the earth. What they found froze the blood of everyone present. The horror underground human. Remains, bones, buried clothing. One, then another, then another. The ground was a mosaic of death. Gacy had turned his house into a mass grave. The magnitude, day after day, they kept finding bodies. In the end, there were 29, each one a stolen life, each one a secret that Gacy thought he could hide forever. The man without a mask, the clown, had lost his mask. The man who dressed to cheer up children was revealed as one of the most ruthless serial killers in history. The trial in 1980, John Wayne Gacy was tried. His defense tried to plead insanity, but the evidence was overwhelming. He was declared guilty of 33 murders and sentenced to death the wait for 14 years. Gacy awaited his execution. He drew paintings, many of them, of clowns. He sold his works, as if he still wanted to control his image. But outside, the world saw him as what he was, a monster. The end on May 10, 1994. John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection. His last words were inappropriate. Go to heck. Today, the house no longer exists, but the shadows of what happened there still live in the memory of those who investigated it, and in the nightmares of those who hear his story. Silence. True terror is that which smiles in front of us without us knowing it.